Jamgön Kongtrül Lodrö Thaye Nidra Namda Rapsarave Jamgön Nije Tugra Levon Zenenda Sibe Zur Mariam Tam Dungar Jezeve Drosoy Guna Puje Tarze Yina Chödrak Yongden Son Chödrak Chödrak Nyamon Yedon Leje Chagdron Dronze Jen Mariam Sre Dungar Nyogu Chinye Chönze Raje Nam Dene Tajen Saju Tars Yenden Luzo Jase Tugo Chödrak Chödon Chöni Jende Dalemes Jamgön La Zedene Cheche Chenra Vesreje Dale Demo Menbar Sarane Kadan Denje Jongloi Tobaye Lodrö Pope Noa Zaldo Namda Zodem Serge Sajeden, Denzen Bomer Lingebenze, Sharpnie de Nove Shogun Saratun Chondrovelam Shagi Yul Rinkam Sabe Mendru Dambesu, Remni Namje Lobru Tramajon, Deshin Kushin Drev Tanzebe, Yonzen Lama Jubrajela. Jamgön Sijatanyile, Tamke Same Shagyon Zonshi, Janjum Lamken Karma Pa, Mijede Bechu Zuge Du Lasso, Tene, Ta Sambashon Chucho, the two Jepa, Rinpoche Sal, Tamne, Sirunang.
So please listen to the explanations that are to be given, having given rise to the sincere and heartfelt aspiration to awaken the body-mind.
La so, ta te che yon tu, ta hinegi sultan, la tung sul, ni jese che yon tu, tongbo hinet la sabje ye, raboji yavre.
So we're going through a detailed explanation of both Shamatha and Vipassana. And with respect to Shamatha, there are four principal segments or conditions.
The
first of these four parts of the text that sets forth Shamatha meditation is the subdivision which explains what the prerequisites for Shamatha meditation are. And that part of the text was explained yesterday. Now, in terms of the list of prerequisites explained yesterday, the most important of them appear to be to have few desires and to be content with the bare essentials in life. Simply because without few desires and without being content with the bare essentials, Shamatha meditation isn't really possible. Because if that mindset is not at hand, it means one will have a lot of desire for this and that. One will be a slave of one's own desires, and the accompanying preoccupation would prevent being able to develop a one-pointed mindset.
Penna choshege loji yene songte te medi shupore.
A person with few desires, who is content with the bare essentials, is in fact a very wealthy person.
Choshege mena verti chun yong'eyo.
Without that mindset, there is no wealth, as it were.
Perna hamas kubla kang sache pen dar twas tangre.
In the past, the well-known ruler of Mongolia, Kublai Khan, asked the following to one of the great Tibetan Buddhist masters of old, Sakya Pandita.
He
had asked Sakya Pandita, who is the most wealthy person of your land, the country of Tibet?
It's
a man by the name Kara Gomchung, Sakya Pandita had answered. So Kublai Khan had then asked Sakya Pandita, well, how large a treasury does this man have? Sanyin? Well, Sakya Pandita had answered, Karagomchung is a person who wouldn't, even in terms of his food supply, have more food stored than would last him for a day. So, in terms of food supply for tomorrow, there would probably be none. So, by way of these examples, Sakya Pandita attempted to explain to Kublai Khan that being content is the greatest of wealth. In terms of someone who wants to practice shamatha meditation, this type of mindset where the practitioner has very few desires, is content with the bare essentials in life, with that as his basis, he will be able to make progress on the path of shamatha meditation. Det kan la sopa sum ja.
Som tre mare.
Sum har det va?
Mare yison då.
Ja, skison då. La så. Nej, gör maten. And in terms, we will now go on with the second of the four subdivisions concerning the explanations of shamatha meditation. And it's about the progressive classification of levels of shamatha meditation. And here we find 4 categories.
Tate Kararesana Shine Gampetium Shine Rigone Yena number Ye Singit Chaviot.
So the 4 categories come about in connection with Tendi Miguldera.
Yeah.
The type of
Did me you think somebody?
Ona?
Gamkin Gonzak Lutin. Atam you insert at the song of the Sir.
So the 4 categories or types of shamatha meditation come about in connection with the type of individual who practices shamatha meditation, as well as what his object of meditation is.
That teaches the Tangote, the Campege, Lutin La, Shinek Gamdu, the Campe Shinek something is a getting dubious. There's some Zichik Bar second.
So the first of the 4 types in this classification regards the mindset of the desire the realm we inhabit.
The come to same tella, Zichik the Netova.
Daddy Tosha Dirava, Zichik to Nepa.
Yeah, the come to same.
Dukamgi, Semgi, Shinegi, Rigi, Toshede, Dukam Sechikba. Segure,
Segmare. The come Zechikba, Sonjana.
Dukam Sechikba,
Zechikbas and Dere, Pen the come get Lutin deed and do, Mikbala Zechik to Netwe, Shinetela, Somare.
And in terms of individuals in the desire realm and their capacity, shamatha meditation is primarily about a one-pointed focus.
Tate gum on to Tandela Shiprasum into kinds and Mongol shares are in Sonto.
And the author doesn't give a lot of details here because he has spoken about this mindset, that of the desire realm and its one-pointedness in consequence of shamatha meditation, both in previous segments of the Treasury of Knowledge as well as following segments of the treatise.
Tate the come simple, Tante Zolo Gamion to Penna Sem Nebe Top Goals and Kenta.
And here you find, in terms of developing a one-pointed focus, that mindset, one-pointed attention, in the context of practitioners of the desire realm, you find 9 stages of the developing of that one-pointed attention.
That the dragon Siki Yawa Mida Mongo Yungre.
De Mayimpa.
Timau Mayin Papena, Yomun number young thing and Zetenzo. Desha Guinembola, Medupa Gamye, Shadong Guinembola, Samba Gamye. What at the Negi or Mangoji Yungyote?
There are other ways of classifying the same that differ a bit in terms of method from the 9 stages just referred to. You have a fourfold approach where the practitioner is set to use method or instructed to do methods by way of which he overcomes specific afflictive obscuring states, such as desire, and the antidote for, or one of the antidotes for desire is that of one-pointedly focusing upon various objects of meditation, where the objects of meditation are about or represent, as it were, perspectives of reality found repulsive, such as the unpleasant sentiments induced by seeing a dead body in decay where just the skeletal frame is left, for example. Contemplating a skeletal frame, for example, in the context of Shamatha meditation here, is done for the sake of counteracting the individual's preoccupation with objects of desire. So rather than preoccupying himself with objects of desire, he cultivates a one-pointed focus of something that is undesirable. Then you have, for example, the afflictive obscuring state of anger, hatred. The antidote here, which the practitioner is to have a one-pointed focus of, is loving kindness for others. That is to say, the opposite of the afflictive obscuring state at hand, and so on. In this classification, you have 4 antidotes counteracting 4 specific afflictive obscuring states. Now, Khenpo Rinpoche says he will not go into the details of these methods during this course. A few years back, he gave a course at Dakpo Kagyeling where all of these were explained in the context of a text authored by Mipan I. Its Tibetan name is Kenjuk, meaning approximately entering the path of skilled ones or learned ones, a reference to the need for acquiring knowledge of various perspectives of reality, as well as methods of meditation, and so on and so forth.
Then, the Kamke Dingen Zongbo Kandeji Yuan Yang Then thing the chick then the peche chitang mitang chena, don't try Nion Sumato, name it to a young Sarah Pasago Kigyo, Chödrak Tongo Kigyo.
Now, in terms of practitioners in the desire realm, as to Shamatha meditation, the longest period possible for an individual born in this realm to remain in a one-pointed state without interrupting the state would be up to 2 or 3 weeks. Beyond that, in general, an individual born in the desire realm could not continue the one-pointed state. He would have to interrupt that state in order to take food and drink, because the physical body in the desire realm would otherwise not survive, perhaps, or be struck by fatigue, disease, and the like, which would, in any case, interrupt the one-pointed focus.
Dorje take a tablet tenne, that Julin tensor tenne, Sarah Palatin Megoa, then Lord and Dawalas of YouTube, young, there thing.
So that's in general. However, in the context of the Vajrayana, there are specific methods whereby a practitioner can nourish the body by way of methods that allow him to extract nutrition from the 5 basic elements that make up the desire realm. So a practitioner skilled in that method would be able to uninterruptedly remain in a one-pointed state for much, much longer periods of time, months and years, without having to eat regular food as we know it, and to drink whatever liquid, water and otherwise, as we need to do in order to keep alive, to keep the body alive. To keep the body alive, yes.
Something to say, du pas
yes. Then you Sukam Erego. Then we have the second in this list of 4 categories, which pertains to the concentrations in the realm of form, the various levels of one-pointed focus found in the realm of form. And here in the realm of form, as to various levels of one-pointed attention, you have 4 principal levels. And here, the individuals who have taken birth in the realm of form do not need, in order to stay alive, to rely on food and drink as we know it here in the desire realm. The various levels of samadhi in the realm of form permit them to maintain a one-pointed focus for tens of thousands of years.
Something
That is to say, an uninterrupted focus.
something something ni beg thing and shida sarcha tencha ni ka cher la kutseyang yoring bu yuk tup chegi.
Now, if you compare the first level of samadhi with the second level of samadhi in the realm of form, the second level of samadhi is much more clear and precise in its focus and more stable than the samadhi of the first level in the realm of form, which makes for a longer lifespan. A lifespan longer than the length of the lifespan of the first level of samadhi in the realm of form.
Last, that's something ni paratuna, somebody thinks at the sarcha chair rogiore, somebody yivalatun. Sambar tuna yewa the sarcha tantincha the chair rogiore, kutseyang tako hamatsori shidar in rogiore.
And then you have levels 3 and 4. Progressively, the qualities of the samadhi being both clear and stable, augment as you go to the higher levels, which has as a consequence that the higher the level is, the longer the lifespan of those on that level.
Something then
we have the third category here, which refers to some of the individuals born in the realm of no form.
That Zumik thing and Hajang Tincha Chemputang something Yival Tuna, such a day some memory.
La, kan du liksom som?
Penna Zumik thing and so. Tincha Tishida Penna Zukam getting and Zena Yang, what Tincha Chegiot.
Tencha di Chegiot.
Yeah, such a day Zukam getting and Zendawum memory.
Chungere.
Chungyot.
Det Mikbe Yul Rang Jöda Medina Jösamara.
Tamu Yögusade.
These individuals remain in the so-called formless absorptions. One-pointed focus is at hand. However, one would perhaps not speak of a specific object of meditation here. In that, the mindset in the realm of form is not as clear and precise as in the realm of form. However, the absorption itself, the samadhi itself, is more stable than in the realm of form. Therefore, the lifespan is a longer one in this existence.
Then
Then we have the other groups of individuals in the realm of no form who rest in a one-pointed state called the absorption of cessation. That's the name of this specific mindset.
Tang gokwe nyamtul nyambar jangken denzo pesher nyambar ya yimbe kabla dene gongen namshe di juwate kandu yusat.
And it appears that while in this absorption, the 5 sense faculties and the associated perceptions stop or cease. In consequence of the type of absorption, the individual is absorbed in, as it were, that specific type of one-pointed focus.
Tene ta sabje somba sinete Chödrak gambe sulti sare.
Then we have the third of the 4 main subdivisions in terms of explaining Shamatha meditation, which is about the way to meditate.
Ta tendela nangsige sabje sum jalu sare.
And here there are 3 subdivisions.
Luji yaktap.
1, the meditation posture.
Semji yaktap.
The mindset while in meditation, or rather the methods for achieving that mindset of one-pointedness. And then the experiences that may arise in consequence of the one-pointed focus at hand. In terms of the meditation posture, there are 8 points or perspectives.
Debu tin dewala nete somare tin debu dene madeo chane mebashi gore
So the meditation seat should be a comfortable one, one where there is no discomfort that could disturb the mindset or the mind in its efforts to remain one-pointedly focused. So the meditation seat or cushion, however one wants to phrase it, shouldn't be made up of material that's very hard, nor too soft a seat. Neither is good.
Something borchung sene ta pese the dejik seji cheba gogdo yeah.
So in terms of the height of the meditation cushion, it should be of the height that measures from the tip of the thumb to the lower end of the fist.
Mato dene to ya jaya rawchimena zupote to skala khabche.
One needs to have the behind raised in this way a bit. That facilitates maintaining a correct posture.
Tate tangbotre. Yegna. Ni pate kongba doji chitamam shechil chawa somare.
Di dangpo re, di nanga.
Ta ye den di nan kan de zi.
Den di ko pa chi lo tanya sarva. Ina
Den
den di ke chamlu.
Ela zi sha den.
Ta te. Let me. Sumpa larva. Absolut der. Vale. Nipa.
Ya den de machina digido.
Next, there is the list of the 8 perspectives or details of the posture itself. And the first of the 8 perspectives listed is that the legs should be in the Vatra posture or half crossed.
Then nipa de mi bed chasang zamya ma yao che chasang dong ma yao che kore so.
And the eyes should be half closed.
De mi ke tasa de peshe na ze ri xian da kore so.
So that the eyes are held approximately at the level of the tip of the nose. This doesn't mean that one focuses on the tip of the nose, a bit of a distance from the tip of the nose, but at the same level as the tip of the nose, rather.
Tene lute changpo changjang chen ya song kore song yu se.
And the body should be held straight.
Tene chakpa ni de temin tu ma shoro chen.
And the shoulders should be level.
Tene ta na ta yong de na ka thu rao ji ta gu yu se de.
And number 5 is about the gaze, that the gaze should be in the direction of the nose, meaning at a distance from it, but approximately the same level. And in terms of the mouth, there should be a slight gap between the teeth, allowing for the coming and going of the breath, and between the lips. As well as between the lips, and the tongue should be touching the palate. And the breathing should be natural and effortless. And this is very important, that the breathing is natural and effortless. A natural, effortless breathing automatically, as it were, promotes a relaxed mindset, a mindset free of tension, as it were. Now, the meditation posture, as it was explained, its importance is emphasized both in just shamatha meditation as well as in other more advanced types of meditation. Perna karasungsung?
the Khenpo
Yeah.
Rinpoche.
Tene?
Pena, Chitang Shine Gamban Sungte, Dorje Tekpeke Partu,
Up to and through the path of the Buddhist Tantras, also known as the Vajrayana.
last one. That is Jeshe Rayorish, Charu Tang Shagre.
And there is a lot of more detail as to the meditation posture. What is listed here is sort of the basics.
Yeah, the la
One
Bexi
could
did.
say.
Nani Pasemji Jaltabla.
Then we've come to the segment which explains the methods for setting the mind. That is to say, setting the mind in a calm state. And here there are two subdivisions.
Mikbachitang Shevachitang Tene Karshu
Objects
Gandam Shedat Tempa.
Objects of the Mikbachirtang, say du?
Chitang said in Dodetsu and the Resungshan, the Resungsha say.
The first of the two is about the objects of observation in general, and that's a reference primarily to the Sutrayana. Tini?
That Gandam Shedat.
Nipa.
Gandam Shedat Shepas.
The second subdivision lists or talks about particular methods for setting the mind as to the focus at hand and what that focus is. Or rather, what types of focus there are with respect to specific methods for setting the mind in a calm state.
Last teacher on to that Chitan Shebatella, Mikbatella, Chap and Mikba. Japan Namjong Mikba. Kepe Mikba, then in Yomon Namjong Mikba, yes.
Chape Mikba de la Chapsik de la Conditic.
Chapsik de la Shetan, Sheja Chinipa Tamche, Mikbet and the Yachore, Sonetisa.
So we're now going through the first of these two in terms of subdivisions, in terms of its objects of observation, and there are generally four types of objects of observation here. So-called pervasive objects, and it appears that this is perhaps a reference to that objects at large, those found anywhere, of them as objects of observation. Then you have the second of the four types, which is objects with the specific purpose of purifying deeds, that is to say, misdeeds. Then there is the third type, objects that render the practitioner skillful. And then there is the fourth type, which is about objects for purifying afflictive, obscuring states of mind.
Tan den de re do wala. Chape mikpa seyong de. Tan den do sho ne chape mikpa de zo da de ro resha khande chila mikpa te gi na yang. Ti den do shepa se chik do net wa chi chagore song et resha.
As was said, the first of the four types are what one perhaps may refer to as general objects of observation, primarily in the context of the Sutrayana, and it's a reference to the 5 sense objects primarily, and the practitioner developing one-pointed attention of them.
Yeah. Pen daje travna drathiran gel mikpa te teva ma to yin de yem ma shora.
The practitioner can, for example, choose a sound and focus on that alone in terms of developing one-pointed attention of it, thus cancelling out distraction.
Ta kazang hun shu shu de perna doje tek pe kapla tene shinkham ji ko ba la yi ko ban de so chap mi pa re do yin ju.
There was the mention in the context of the Vajrayana the other day about objects of meditation such as so-called pure lands, mandalas and the like. And this type of object of observation or meditation, however one wants to phrase it, would belong to this category, though in the context of the Vajrayana. Kan resena dakpe shing tang kilkor la sopa den soda ngaka yorva.
Yeah, you're the.
Because in terms of a pure land or a mandala, you have the sights of it, the sounds within it, the odors sensed while there, and so on and so forth.
Ben in the song to do. Thaye den gambe nenjur topanis. Chap mi bal gambal ten nenjur top go gre song to.
De doje tek pala kobo ergo.
Yeah, that de kala chetan
De condition ni langsa sinto maso.
Ben
Nejur kangi nejur.
Tan de re do chita jinye ji ngopo tada dang.
Jita jinye ina kyape mikpa de la.
Yeah.
Jita jinye gi ngopo
Tada
tene.
dang. Thaye den la gambe.
Jita jinye da jita kempa dang jinye pe kempa.
Yeah.
Da de dak pe shing tang kilkorgi kapsurva. Kan resena de korve ki shepa sonni shi marava.
Mare ben.
Den de shi kogore
Go
mare.
he that de ngachi ki lab chu da.
Tinga sikten som akona.
Ben tham dandang ngache danda sheja thamche lam mikpa che nen dosho ne gam ge yarwa.
So you have the Sutrayana approach, where in terms of this type of object of observation, any objects of the 5 senses would be appropriate in terms of developing one-pointed attention.
Dige gam tu yema te kanta che yon tu chini chimba ge chatran rong gre song do. 시작한 거 하고 용 그래 송도.
Da tikten så kogen du går. Det hinner jag. Tanda dologi kabgi kape mikpa kain patella se chikpe sem chik drobna. Det ngarang trivare. Drobna. Tenne dela tenne shuma ginje pe kempa drogire.
Ja, det är
drobtan kan det sikta.
Drobtan det är.
Sikte där
Perna
lapsegera. Dönta det koge med.
Dalla mikpa se chi de ne gamba yina. Tela tingen se sanna top yon tu dra ne su kanga ha ko yaro.
Da dra mikpa. Da se dra mikpa sem dit se chik drobtsarne. Dela salnang chane terne salnang jöpala tenne dradigi perna nangsam jimpala sopa kogere sungen nog.
Ja.
Okej.
Men det då.
Dang på det 20 kronor. So let me think. You have this category of objects of observation of any kind. So in terms of defining specific objects of observation, that doesn't apply here. Any object, wherever, can be an object of observation in terms of developing one-pointed attention of it, such as a sound, for example. And that, it is explained, will contribute to the practitioner gaining insight of that the sound in question and all other types of objects of observation out there have no real reality, and so on and so forth. So that contributes to knowledge of what these objects in fact are in terms of their nature being developed, that kind of knowledge. How does this work? Well, if we continue with the example of taking sound as an object of observation, once the practitioner has developed a one-pointed focus of the object in question, so that distractions are no longer happening, he rests in a calm state. That will make for a more clear mindset, a mindset of a higher level of clarity as to what the mindset focuses upon. So there is a development here where the mindset becomes more and more clear, in consequence of which the nature of the object of observation is seen at one level or another. So a one-pointed focus of, for example, a sound will, if true one-pointedness is achieved, result in this. The capacity for one level or another of knowledge which sees to some degree, the nature of the sound in question.
Tan dit tingen zing tar sin sungba. Rapti tar sin sungba de sanje kaptala yung yorwa.
Now that higher level, where the nature of the object of observation is seen, can then develop by way of the practitioner fostering this insight or type of knowledge, which is knowledge of all things in terms of their nature. And in the end, this knowledge has been cultivated to the point where the final goal is attained, that of enlightening knowledge, or enlightened knowledge, however one wants to phrase it. The kind of knowledge which sees the true nature of each and everything. And that's the level of Buddha, the enlightened state.
This sita sanje ke roa to ke shegre sigidwa.
Now, there is the mention in many Buddhist scriptures of that a Buddha knows all the languages of an entire world system. In fact, of all world systems. So, if we look at the phenomenon we have named language, what is it? Well, language is about a number of different sounds that one pronounces. Kan du sång så?
산제게 이게 정말 하고 그랬어긴도와.
Det shuin.
이게 생긴데 게 지야로 와.
게 트리샤 바레 송도?
네 칸 라베 게 베나 타nye 지여로 버때 마지야로 와.
Tala. Den tonge min.
된다 레통 최지. yes 나로 와.
Re?
yes the 다로 와.
Re drade yigi suksu köde ngan så trisha varje gång. Det som gör
ja. Det sker då.
Now, you see, what are letters, words and phrases? Well, a number of symbols have been invented, symbols written down either on a slab of stone or on a piece of paper, primarily today, which tell the person who sees the symbols what sound he is to pronounce when he recites what's written. So, language has many perspectives. You have the fact that basically any language is about different types of sound pronounced by human beings, for example. Then you have the written language, which is a matter of symbols that have a specific shape and form. And by way of that, tell the reader what sound to pronounce. Denny? So, point made here in terms of it being stated that a Buddha would know all languages quite naturally, is that a Buddha has knowledge of the true nature of each and every phenomenon, including all sounds. And that knowledge of the true nature of all sounds permit or allows for him knowing all languages. Because any language is but a mix of different sounds, consonants and vowels. If you know the true nature of those sounds, that would allow for natural knowledge of the languages which make use of those sounds.
Last, that he yet la Japan Namjang Big Bar somewhere.
Then you have the next category of objects of observation. Observation, sorry. Objects for purifying deeds. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. Tillsammans nu då kanske ngedingema komma som diki shepa. Det nayang dra korangi nelochi tongyöna nere va.
Ja.
Tinitati dra la tempe language katsöna da shetogira va. Shetogira va koranshingi.
Ja.
Det är 21.
Doctor, till den ena tesong då.
Tine.
Sasi korang gnala.
Satsik kana.
Gopo tada tang.
Kavala.
And then sad.
4, 5. Sumpa. Make butter.
Gopo tada tang. Tanla gambe. Tanla gamdu.
Salcha de latin.
Yeah.
You see, in terms of this, we continue with the example of sound, chosen as an object of observation, in dependence upon which the practitioner has been able to develop one-pointed attention. Now, that makes for a calm state, which results in a clear mindset. A clear mindset which, as it were, sees beyond just one-pointedness. The clarity achieved will make for the practitioner, to some degree, seeing the very nature of the object of observation. Thus, the process of cultivating knowledge which, to some degree, and in the end, completely knows the true nature of the object of observation. And one would presume that once the true nature of a given object of observation is known, then that knowledge is applicable to other objects, so that the true nature of all things is known. Tene jita, tene de du sanjegi gopang, jinjegi shepa de yaru drone, jita de.
The jita de that
Okay, det kan gå med. Okay. So that's in brief. Of course, this is very brief. But in brief, what was said would be applicable. So, tenedi shivar nepala tenne salcha cherudrova tenne yang neluk shetupa. Dirava? Det shuyin. Lasso? Tenne? Tanda? Yeah. Now we've come to the second category. Objects for purifying deeds. Yes. Det kan vara lätt innan det. Shepan namjongi mikbalani se ngamar du chana shela laso.
Jepan namjong tingen zin sedu jetpa sedu serap nume bashala tenne sendi rang lunga jepa tela song.
You see, this is a reference to the fact that individuals have been acting on the basis of various afflictive, obscuring states throughout all their lifetimes, in consequence of which they have acquired specific habits, because it's usually the fact that a given individual would in terms of his behavior, depending upon his personality, he would act primarily on a specific afflictive obscuring state, which makes for a personality where, of course, all types of afflictive obscuring states are at hand, but one or perhaps two of them would be predominant in consequence of habits acquired in previous lifetimes. So some people are desirous, some are of an angry disposition, and so on.
사람 금에 감샤를 때네 센들라 제당 로알라 릭나라고 지기 예와 용도도 송하래 가시엔 더샤시에 숙천부연지.
So independence upon the specifics in terms of behavior in previous lives, people in this life or individuals in this life can be categorized into 5 types. Those where desire is predominant, those where anger is predominant, and so on.
That 알아서 유도다 정말 근데 용거도와. 다티체도 더샤 셰체에 공사된 적은 더샤 등고니에 그던다라 기르기 넘버 감바도 미두베 넘버 감추 대송요.
So here you have objects of observation with the purpose of acting as an antidote for the afflictive, obscuring state that's predominant in this life. So for individuals where desire is the predominant afflictive, obscuring state, there a number of different objects of observation are recommended. Example, that of focusing on the skeletal frame of a dead body. Of course, there are many more details in terms of this object of observation, but the object of observation listed to begin with is that one here, that of the skeletal frame of a dead body, focused upon for the sake of counteracting desire.
Tene shedang she chebe gonzadala shambe sem kam kore songt.
And then, for those of a primarily angry disposition, loving kindness is the main object of observation, is what is to be cultivated in order to counteract the angry disposition of the person.
Chamba. Tene temu she chebe gonzadala tindri juni ge choba samatang kore songt.
And then you have individuals of what one may call a dense or thick mindset. Connected primarily with ignorance. And individuals of this disposition are advised to focus on, as an object of observation, the 12 stages of the process of dependent occurrence in order to counteract their dense, or rather ignorant mindset, that afflictive, obscuring state.
Tene ngachal hechena kamga rabi gam shosong.
And then there are those of a proud position who are advised to take as their object of observation kamgi rabje kangi kam katse
Kam sengede dongbo kam jobje de ye.
The 18 dhatus, which is a list of what one may refer to as 8 basic components of a so-called individual. However, that's done in the beginning as an object of observation. There is a more extensive version of the same set forth in the Abhidharma scriptures, which includes 64 basic components that the practitioner focuses upon. The point made is that a proud person, a person who takes pride in himself, for one reason or another, is a person who sees himself as a real individual, as more special than other individuals, and so on and so forth. So he is set to begin with to learn what the 18 or 64 components of a so-called individual is, and then develop a one-pointed attention of them in order to be made to see that there isn't a real individual. A self of sorts does not truly exist, and therefore there can't be any reason for seeing oneself as different from others, because all individuals are made up of the same number of or types of components, as it were. So in the end, no one is more special than another. Some take pride in their family line, saying I'm special because I am a descendant of a special family line.
Some
take pride in some qualities they believe to have and develop pride because of that. Some become very proud in terms of seeing themselves as handsome or beautiful, a very agreeable person compared to appearance compared to others.
Yang kashiage ngarung so thalle pabde yo samsum lo chunchung tobyon ki.
And often young people see themselves as young and powerful individuals who are able to be more active than those younger than them or older than them, and because of that there is a sense of pride.
Tenso kanga dela kam jobje ge nechu der samnach tang de me go re.
If one were to acquire knowledge of these lists of either 18 or 64 components that any individual is made up of, that should remedy the pride a person may feel in terms of his own person.
Laso that drin the che.
So that's all for today.
Nan go course ta. Sunam de ye tham je ze ban ye thong nan ye pe dra nam pham je che gana je balap chu ba ye se be so le ro wa